I am joined by Robert Griffin III, James Whitefield, Yates Menakimes.
All right, so first play we're going to look at 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick and Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media, back with another episode of the Patriots Daily Podcast. Happy AMA Friday, Taylor. I'll intro you as a guest here. Have you been watching any shows lately? Before we get into some Patriots news, what are you watching? What's going on in your life heading into the weekend?
Thinking of shows. Liz and I have been struggling to find something. We did finish The Studio. Do you know what
that's
that is?
the Seth Rogen one, right?
That's really good.
It is good. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list.
So it's one of those kinds of it's similar to Entourage, where it gives you the kind of behind the scenes of what Hollywood's like, but it feels more realistic in terms of there's a lot of people in Hollywood who come on the show and kind of take this out of themselves, where they just are much bigger versions and everybody just ends up kind of looking bad, but it's funny. Zoe Kravitz is in it. Ron Howard's in it as an evil version of himself. It's really funny. And it's funny. It's all shot in one take. There's one episode that's entirely one take. Yeah. But the scenes, it's more like a play. So it's really tightly scripted and they follow everybody around, but only the scenes have actual breaks and stuff like that. So there's a constant momentum in every episode. And it's just them trying to get all this stuff together. So there's a lot of tension in it as well. It's really, really entertaining and funny. And the cast is fantastic. Seth Rogen, Catherine Hahn, Bryan Cranston, a bunch of other people.
Anything with Cranston, I'll watch. So
right, and then who's in from Beetlejuice? It's another Catherine. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is so bad. I'm gonna find it. One sec. Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara. Yeah, she's in it too. So really good cast. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. And it's 25 minutes an episode, so it's not perfect. Exactly. It's not a super long commitment. If you're just I want to watch something fun, it's perfect for that.
Perfect. I'm not on a show right now. Was telling you earlier last night. Watched. It's called Nona's or Nona's on Netflix. It's Nona. It's a movie with Vince Vaughn and Joey Manganiello, I think his name is. He's the guy
Joe Manganiello.
Manganiello,
he hosts husband. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So he hosts Steal and No Island as well. That's where I recognized him from. But
you know what else he's in real quick? You know what else he's in?
What's that?
He's the bully in Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he's I don't want to fight Flash. He's I wouldn't want to fight me either. That's him. It's
oh yeah. Okay.
I don't know how old he was. He looked like 25 playing a teenager, but
yeah, right.
Awesome.
I honestly, Taylor, didn't even know that he was married to Sofia Vergara either.
Yeah. Dude's killing life. He's
is
absolutely shredding it. He was supposed to be in Justice League too. He was Deathstroke, who's a Batman villain, and they were supposed to do this whole other arc in Batman of. Have you ever? Oh my god, I'm going off tangent. Have you ever heard of the Long Halloween for Batman?
No.
It's this thing where basically Batman has to fight all of his bad guys in one night, and they all kind of coordinate to kick his ass and just beat him down. And it's partially a Deathstroke story. They were going to do that with Ben Affleck and him, and it was going to be this whole thing. And then I think Affleck relapsed. I think Ben Affleck relapsed and had to kind of focus on himself. And now he's doing better, which is awesome. But I've always wondered what that movie would have been like because I love Joe Manganiello. So I'm sorry, but it's one of my.
No, you're good. So he's in Nona's as well, and it's a movie of Vince Vaughn's main character. His mother dies. He was always cooking with his mom and his Nona, obviously Italian family, as you can tell. And she passes, and he decides, well, I'm going to use the money I get with her life insurance to open my own restaurant. Names it after his mom, Italian restaurant. Hires a bunch of other Nonas from around the Staten Island, New York area. They come in. They end up being the chefs, and essentially they get no business. They have to shut it down. They have one more night when they realize they have all this food and nobody's coming to the restaurant. They invite all their friends and family over, and one restaurant critic comes in that night, tries the food, writes this big thing in the paper about it, and then they end up flourishing and having this whole restaurant. So it's good. It's one of those Netflix comedy heartfelt things, but it was pretty good.
And we talked about it. I think that's a real thing because there is, I don't know where it is, but I heard there's this restaurant that you can go to, and it's a bunch of grandmothers who bring their family recipes. And it's like a rotation. So depending on what day you come in, there's a different menu, like all the time that you can get the foods at. And we were talking about it before the show. That sounded familiar. I would love to go here. People are like, if you haven't had a home cooked meal in a long time, you're just, someplace in this country you live and you don't really get a lot of, outside interaction or anything. And they're like, you can go in here. They're so sweet to you. And it just feels like you're actually at like a home cooked meal, that sounds amazing. Is that what it was? Is that like this?
It was based on a true story, so I'm sure that's what that's exactly is. So, no, it was pretty good. It was it's a good, like you said, it's a good concept too. And I was watching. I'm like, I would love to just drop everything and open a restaurant, but it's like owning a small business. It's like so scary if you flop, and it's just like you pour in all that money for nothing.
I love Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay, and that has shown me just how insane it is to even get into the restaurant business. It's basically you have to love it because you don't make money unless you are like really high up there, and by then, like, yeah, you profit, but also there's so much that goes into it that I could never ever own a restaurant. Also, do you watch Kitchen Nightmares?
I've seen it, but I'm not like an avid watcher of it now.
It's so good. There's this one family. You can find it pretty easily. It's like this tall blonde wife and this like older husband, and they're just like horribly abusive to everyone who like comes in, who works there. Like people will come in, and if they're like, "Hey, I kind of wanted it this way," they'll be like, "No, you're gonna eat it the way we want," and like flame people and like have these fits. Like the husband almost fought someone once. If you see any episode, I'll find it for you and I'll send you the link. It's crazy. I think it was the one time or one of the few times that he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Because when people break the fourth wall and they're like, oh, you're here for a show, he like gets really mad.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm spending my time. I don't need to be here. I'm trying to help your business. Because he follows up. Like, say what you want about Gordon Ramsay. He does the things where like a year later he'll check in and like he'll give scholarships and stuff. Like
that's cool.
From anything that they publicize, at least it seems like he does help. And then he was just like, "Fuck you!" Like
Is it on streaming?
It's on YouTube. I think I watched.
Oh, it's okay. Okay.
It's so old. I don't think they like make a ton off of it on TV anymore. But yeah, it's on YouTube. You can see anything you want. That episode is insane. Like, oh my, they go back and forth. The husband like almost chases him down. It's very good.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, we're 8 minutes in, and we haven't even touched on Patriots. We've done full show review, show recap on what myself and Taylor are watching. So if you only got this far, you haven't got this far, fast forward. We'll talk Patriots now. And although not a ton, Taylor, has happened since Tuesday's OTA practice, we obviously did our in-person follow-up live podcast from Gillette. We also went on with Andrew Callahan the next day. Talk to him about OTAs a little bit. So if you haven't checked out all the nitty-gritty stuff, go back to our podcast, go back to Pat's Interference here as well. And make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to Patriots Press Pass as well. It's where you get all the best Patriots coverage. That wasn't a good Panera drink, was it?
It's so watered down. That was gross.
What was it, coffee?
Yeah, it's iced coffee.
Okay.
I'm in the coffee club now.
Keep it. Oh, good. Smart. Very smart. Yeah, keep it here. Patriots Press Pass for all your Patriots coverage. Subscribe to the channel. You get all of our CLNS Media coverage here. And on that note, like I said, we talked on our show. We talked with Andrew on Pat's Interference. But since then, not a ton of news. However, Stefon Diggs is back in town, and he did practice with the Patriots at yesterday's OTA practice. There he is, catching a pass. We can only hope it's from Drake May. And something I noted, and not that it was just me, everyone kind of noticed, but no brace on that knee. So he's moving. He's moving with, hopefully some conviction here. So that's exciting stuff. I know that before when we were kind of planning out the show, you wanted to mention and talk a little bit about how different or similar his track this year is coming off the ACL compared to Kendrick Bourne's last year, being a captain, being involved, etc. So in general, what do you make of Stefon Diggs being back on the practice field with the Patriots?
It's obviously just good to see that he is out there. I don't know if we expected him to be on the field at least this early, but of course, all the reports indicate that he's ahead of schedule. I believe it was Ian Rappaport who said that he should be ready for week 1. So
yeah,
these are the kind of things you want to see. But even more than that, there's also a picture somewhere in the Patriots where they uploaded everything from yesterday where Kyle Williams appeared to beat Alex Austin deep. And then so there's a picture where you see him catch a ball in front of Alex Austin. And I don't know if it's the same play, but there's another one where Kyle Williams is in the end zone celebrating with Stefon Diggs. Mm-hmm. Another picture where Jaheim Bell joins the mix as well. And that's the kind of thing you want to see because Diggs has been a captain in his past 2 spots. He was a captain in Buffalo, and he was a captain last year in Houston. And I remember Kendrick Bourne saying that he wanted to be a captain, but I think he was there at parts for OTAs and training camp. Like, I remember he would run with the guys, and he would warm up, but there wasn't a whole lot of preparation. And, like, he wasn't really working with them. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because we only saw Stefon Diggs catching a pass on air. He might have only been doing warm-ups and then probably was limited for the rest of team activities. But it's cool to see that he's out there. You see the leadership, him celebrating. Like, he doesn't have his helmet, so I'm assuming that he came from the sideline and went to celebrate. Like, that kind of energy, that's part of what Stefon Diggs brings you, is the attention to detail, the savvy, and all that you're hoping these young guys can take advantage of and just soak in like sponges. But also, this is a guy who's going to be that leader and kind of bring some energy to the room that Kendrick Bourne does in a way, but it's very different when it comes from Stefon Diggs, like a guy who's done it before. And obviously in Kyle Williams, someone where they seem like they could be 2 peas in the pod when it comes to a work ethic standpoint, a mentality standpoint of just how they are as receivers, and also being guys who are a bit undersized for those outside receivers, but get it done by being those dogs who are really technically refined. So I don't want to get too excited because, of course, we have no idea what the context was of Stefon Diggs being out there. But like you said, no brace. We've seen the training videos. It does look like he's well ahead of schedule because I remember seeing some of Kendrick Bourne's videos this time last year and being like, no, he doesn't look
low
great.
Poke.
Your words, not mine. But he did look. I remember people were kind of gassing him up, and I'm just like, oh, no. He looks like a guy who's coming off the torn ACL. With Diggs, I haven't seen quite as much of that. It does seem like he's a little bit more explosive than you'd expect. So we will see. It's still very early, but it's just awesome to even seeing him out there. Finally getting to see him in a Patriots uniform-ish. Obviously, this is only just the practice jersey and shorts, but, like, I mean, the steez is there. You know,
I like the number 8
sweatband. You got the 1 sleeve. That looks cool. But yeah, just good seeing him out there and working with the team at this point.
Yeah, I am a big fan of this of the number 8 Stefon Diggs. I think it adds a little. Not that he didn't already have swagger, but 14 was fine. He made it work in Buffalo and in Minnesota, and then he changed to 1 last year. I thought that was pretty cool. He wasn't going to get 1 this year, obviously. Well, I guess you could have with Jalen Polk. I don't know if he stood his ground, but he said that's his. Took number 8 from Juwan Bentley. I like it.
Plus the 818 with him and Kyle Williams.
Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
And then Poppy's got the 3 kind of, mixed in there a little bit. Kind of looks similar. I don't know. I love my aesthetic jersey numbers.
Prizepicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prizepicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. And all you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. So run your game all season long on Prizepicks, and you can cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prizepicks. So don't miss your last chance to add your players from the court to your Prizepicks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, or anything else, pick more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Think Connor McDavid will get more than 1 goal next week? Will Brad Marchand hit for more than 5 shots on goal? Cook up hot takes with your friends and win real money this hockey season when you and your crew run your game on Prizepicks. And all you got to do is download the app today, create an account, and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. Prizepicks, run your game.
So do I. Remember last year we wanted 1, 2, 3 to work with Polk, Osborne, and Pop, and that just didn't go through too well. But regardless, Stefon Diggs, like we said, is here. No brace, so we'll see. And then I think Carlos as well, who always is keeping track on where guys are, what they're working out, etc. Looks like Diggs is already back in Florida today, working out once again. So he's really pushing the limit on that knee, which is a good thing. It kind of blows my mind how different guys' bodies can be, where like it looks like he may actually be ready for the start of the season, where Kendrick Bourne, it kind of sounded like he was going to try, but I don't think he was at OTAs. I don't think he was posting this many workouts with his knee looking this good at this time. So if he's really back by week 1 at this age, it's pretty impressive. And it just adds another element to what the Patriots offense could potentially be earlier in the season than later. If we thought Diggs was going to miss a couple weeks.
Because the more veterans they just have out there, the more you can expect that the floor is going to be high enough that they should, as a passing game, be competitive on a week-to-week basis. Because right now, the passing game is Kayshon Boutte, Kendrick Bourne, and Demario Douglas. Now, Kendrick Bourne had his best season with Josh, so I'm not necessarily saying that he's going to be a liability or anything. but it's not 3 guys that you feel great about. I know people love Kayshon Boutte, but like if you literally just take away the go balls, there was the 2 or 3 go balls that he caught last year. That's not nothing, but I feel like he's getting a little bit overhyped because for the plays that he makes, he is still limited. And there are guys I think on this team with more upside that he provides. Although as a blocker and in terms of effort, I would say not consistent effort, on the deep balls, but I would say from a blocking perspective, like he was definitely their best receiver, and that's going to give you an edge. But at the same time, like Matt Collins can do that. I don't want Stefon Diggs blocking a ton, but just having more of those veterans, at least as an option, because if you can go out there with some version of Hollins and Diggs and then kind of rotate, it makes you feel better than if you kind of have to depend on one of those young guys who still hasn't proven himself.
For sure. So Diggs returns, 4 guys missing from Tuesday's OTA. 4 guys return as Diggs was there, as well as, and I'll throw this on screen now if I can get it there. Remove and add. There we go. Courtesy of our friend of the Patriots Press Pass Network, Brian Hines, Pat's Beat host, also points out from the OTA photos, Sidy Sow, Joshua Farmer, Rhamondre Stevenson back at practice as well. Farmer and Sow presumed injuries. Rhamondre grieving the loss of his father. He was back in Las Vegas, it sounds like, but he has since returned. So Mike Vrabel mentioned the other day when he was asked about Rhamondre that Stevenson is going to be a big part of this offense and what they do this season and moving forward. So just your thoughts on these guys coming back as well to Patriots OTAs.
Just happy for Rhamondre that, he's in a place where he can come back to the team and feels like
100%.
he's in a good spot. That's biggest thing, and that's really all I have for him. And then Sidy Sow and Joshua Farmer, just good that they're out there, especially for Sidy getting reps because he's a guy that's fighting for a roster spot. And Joshua Farmer is a guy who did have a bit of an issue with injuries in college. The fact that he wasn't there was, not a positive, obviously, and there's still such a long way to go. So I don't mind, if he has to miss some time just to make sure that his body is in a good spot. And Sidy's kind of battled injury too, where last year he was available for most of the summer and then he's out of the lineup for a little while and then is never able to recover. So just good to see Sidy Sow and Joshua Farmer back in the lineup. And obviously, Rhamondre just back in Foxboro and being able to be around the team.
100%. Good stuff there. Like you said, I think the main one here for me is Rhamondre, where, it's early enough where Sidy and Farmer, you weren't too worried about those injuries per se, maybe working through a couple things. But Rhamondre being back, like you said, is obviously huge where, you lose a loved one, you lose someone close to you, you grieve through it, and obviously miss time. That's totally understandable. But when you do end up missing a time, like there's a point where, not that you can't miss the time, but you could sort of lose track, you're standing on the roster, this and that for not the best reason. So it's good to see him now back around, being able to work through it and then obviously be back with the team. So that running back room that we, all of a sudden think could be a pretty positive one for the Patriots with Rhamondre, with Travion Henderson, with Antonio Gibson, all back at, all back in the room and back at OTAs right now. So they wrapped up this week today. Assume that they are off and running to their respective, places. People usually come and go, et cetera, but OTA is returning next week, and we have an open one next Wednesday as well. So same thing we did this week where we went down there, reported on it, did a live show from there. We'll probably try and do the same thing. So next open one is Wednesday, and as you said on Callahan's pod the other day, hopefully it's one where Drake May doesn't throw 4 interceptions once again. So we'll see what happens there. But one more Patriots note before, according to Miguel Benzon, our Pats cap aficionado, Efton Chism and CJ Dippre, two of the UDFAs the Patriots brought in, signs for some pretty hefty guarantees, which thought was an interesting little wrinkle into the league high 11 players they brought in undrafted free agency. And this is according to Pat's Pulpit. They wrote this up on Miguel's report, rather. The deals for Dippre and Efton Chism included total guarantees of $264,000 and $259,000. And for comparison, this is the biggest such number since Jeff Demps was given $211,000 in 2012. So Jeff Demps, he was
not a name I've heard in a long time.
It was like you said, 2012. I think he was a part of the Tim Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, Florida team. I'm pretty sure he was.
God, he was supposed to. He was like an Olympian, right? He was a track
Yes,
star.
he was an Olympic track runner, and the Patriots tried to bring him in. So, and they paid him a pretty hefty sum, apparently, $211,000, and then these guys are getting 264 and 259. So it just shows you that A, they trust these guys, B, they're actually shelling out the money, and C, as I know you're going to get into it, they should have a pretty decent chance to make the team if they're committing this much money to them.
Yeah, Jeff Demps was also like it's weird history because that was the first offseason I actually followed because I started watching seriously like halfway through 2011, and then it was like 2012. I'm like, all right, let me see what these guys are doing. And I remember thinking Jeff Demps was going to be this really big impact player.
Right.
What the hell do I know now? But Efton Chism is a guy that I've mentioned from just that one day that we got to see OTAs so far, someone who stood out. Even going back to rookie minicamp because he was so active. They didn't just have him pegged as a slot. He's more of a Z, so kind of more in the Edelman mold than he is in a Danny Amendola, where he was really a guy that wasn't used a ton as a blocker. Really, they just kept him in that one position. But Efton Chism has the suction cup hands, runs routes hard, really good in terms of He's good in terms of acceleration. I think he's more impressive in terms of deceleration, being able to change directions. And then CJ Dippre, someone we didn't see a ton of. He didn't get really many reps with the top offense. Really, we saw more Jack Westover was like the top rotational tight end behind Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry. But plenty of time for him to show what he's got. He's more of that inline wide type, but he's got good hands, pretty good catch radius. He's athletic enough, and he's got some positional versatility. He lined up in different spots for Alabama. So it makes sense because those are both guys that people thought were going to get drafted in like the 5th or 6th round. Maybe just said that they didn't want teams to draft them because they wanted to be able to get as much money as possible. So Patriots probably had to outbid people for their services, and it shows that in terms of people who have the inside track to the team, those two and probably Brock Lampy have the best chance because Lampy's someone who fills a position they don't currently have filled, at least in that mold of a fullback where it's not the use check type that we're think of in the Jaheim Bell, maybe Westover kind of mold. He's more of that downhill presence. So Efton Chism and CJ Dippre were guys that I actually have a piece coming out next week about the undrafted guys. They're two that I think offensively could absolutely make this team, and that just reinforces it because they fill two roles that this team doesn't really have proven depth at. So it makes a lot of sense that they would be prime kind of targets as priority free agents.
For sure. And I know the craft is cheap, Patriots are cheap narrative has kind of went away really since
Bill is cheap.
Yeah, but I think it's we can't. I don't even want to touch on Bill. We could touch on Bill, but there was a whole Pablo Torre did a whole nother Pablo Torre finds out today about how he found a second ring video of Belichick coming out of Jordan's house, and he actually went to the house in Winthrop and rented it, did his own ring camera. We don't have to get into it, but what Pablo Torre does on that podcast is incredible. I think it's so funny because he takes these niche things, which this Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick thing in the grand scheme of things is super niche and doesn't really matter. But since it's so popular right now, these are the types of things he takes and blows up. And it's just been incredible the way he's kind of taken this story and turned it into a life of its own. But he, did the follow-up. So go check out Pablo's podcast. Pablo Torre finds out some incredible stuff there. Maybe we could talk about it in the Discord chat. But I digress on that. Cheap Patriots, not anymore because they went out. They had this spree. Obviously, they have to pay Gerard Mayo. They have to pay Mike Vrabel probably a hefty sum. They shell out a bunch of contracts this offseason, still have cap space to use, but then they also go out and get the priority free agents that they do want in two guys in Chism and Dippre. That feels like at least A, from kind of, I guess, what we saw at practice, which wasn't a ton, but B, follow the money in situations like this. And it seems like they could have a decent chance to make the roster. So, on that note, since we can't really read comments right now because StreamYard isn't being too helpful, we'll be back next week for some Patriots Daily. So keep it here. Rate, review, subscribe to Patriots Press Pass on the CLNS Media Network for all of your Patriots coverage. And until next week or until Discord, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you next time. Peace out, everyone.